Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in again today. We are on location, beautiful sunny Southern California. As you can see, we have our 453 here, our little Madness edition. We're going to do another in our series of videos of customizing our 453 smart car. If you've seen some of the other videos, you know that we've done body kit, eyebrows, exhaust, a max power ECU, go pedal, along with a myriad of other things to the car. And today what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to install a nice little body mod. We're going to do some side skirt extensions. Okay, so before we install, I wanted to show you the side skirt that we're going to be installing today. As you can see, these side skirts come pre-painted, ready to install. We offer them in a variety of colors that will match your 453 smart car, and you receive them ready to install. They come nicely bubble wrapped and in a nice cardboard box. So you take these out, you're ready to slap them on the car. The only thing we have to do is make sure the surface is prepped. So we're gonna go over to the side of the car now and we're gonna start prepping and we'll get these things installed. So if you've seen any of our other series of videos dealing with epoxies or double-sided tapes, you know that the most important thing is the prep of the surface that is gonna be adhered to. That's the actual structural basis for the bonding that's gonna take place, like today's video with the double-sided tape. So what we've already done is clean this area with rubbing alcohol diluted at 10:1 ratio with water and a clean microfiber cloth. We're going to make sure that the surface is dry, all residues removed, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a dry test fit. Once we do the dry test fit, we're going to remove back the edges of the double-sided tape, and then we're going to do a final install of the piece. So I'm just going to wipe this down now because we've been outside for a few minutes, make sure there's no dust on the surface of the car, and then we're going to go ahead and do that test fit. So now that we're wiping it down, as you can see, there's a nice little body line here that follows just below the door and just above the fender. That's actually where the edge of the side skirt is going to fit in the corner, and then you'll see in the back when we do the dry fit. We've wiped it down, and now we're going to proceed with the dry fit of the side skirt. Alright, so now I'm just going to pick up the side skirt, and you can see the uppermost seam, and tuck it into that corner, lifting the back end until I find a nice spot where it seats fully up against the side of the car. We're just making sure that there's no abnormalities and gaps. These things are molded, so sometimes you can have a little bit of gap here and there, and we just want to make sure that's not the case. As I can see here, everything sits nicely along just below the bottom of the door and up into the front of the fender area. So we're going to be able to pull the double-sided tape back and get this guy installed. So come back and we'll start there. Alright, so before we actually do our final fitment, I thought it was important to show you how we actually remove the backing for the double-sided tape. It sounds redundant. Why would you need to know that? You simply pull it off. But actually there is a technique to it that is really helpful when installing. As you can see in my left hand, that is the front driver's side edge, and then the wider portion is the rear of the side skirt. What we're going to end up doing is we're going to peel back the tape on the front edge, the leading edge of the car, and we're just going to leave a little tab sticking just above the edge of the side skirt. What that's going to allow us to do is fully seat that corner first without having to worry about the rest of the tape being exposed and accidentally sticking when it's out of place. And once we get this corner seated, we're going to be able to slowly pull the tape along with us as we press down to get it seated nice and perfect first try without having any errors take place. Another thing I did want to point out is we're in Southern California. This car is housed inside, minimal dirt, dust, debris, things like that. This is a perfect application for double-sided tape. Now we have some of you that see a little bit of inclement weather, maybe the car's outside all the time, and you want a more secure installation, because over time the double-sided tape can lose a little bit of tack, depending on where you are, the temperatures you see, things like that. So in those instances, we use what's called a two-part epoxy that you can pick up at most any auto body supply stores, even places like your auto parts store that you have that's local to you. So if that happens to be your particular situation, go ahead and go with a two-part epoxy. Really easy to use, directions on the label or packaging, and then that'll give it a little bit more secure installation so you guys can have fun with those side skirts. So we're gonna go over to the side of the car and we're gonna put it on right now. Alright, so you can see, if you can pick this up on the camera, I peeled back just enough of the backing on the double-side tape to leave a little tag that sits above the leading edge, the top edge of the side skirt. So what I'm going to do is just seat this in its corner. And as I do that, I'm using my right hand to hold pressure along the side skirt. And I'm using my left hand to seat the double-side tape up against the body of the car. Then all we're going to do is slowly pull the tape along and press it into place so that everything sticks and our installation is going to be complete. So pull a little section, press it into place, keep working your way down. Now the key thing is to make sure that you don't put too much pressure just where the edge of the tape's being released, because if you can, it'll rip the actual backing of the tape, and then you're just going to have a little bit of a harder time removing it. It can still be done. I've done it before, but that's just a little tip from me to you. So as you see, we're moving 12-inch sections at a time, simply pushing in place. Move the final section. Just nice light pressure. Another key thing to remember, it's always nice in Southern California. We're kind of fortunate in that way, but we want to put this in temperatures above 70 degrees. The reason being is it will affect the cure time of the double-sided tape. What happens with this tape that we use on these side skirts is it actually has something that's released when you press down on it, and it helps the tape to cure and harden. And if you put it in a climate that's below 70 degrees, it just takes longer for it to cure. So make sure when you put anything double-sided tape, whether it's a side skirt extension, an eyebrow, or a fender flare, that you make sure you leave it on for 24 hours before you wash, or take the car out in any windy or high-speed conditions, and it'll let the tape cure fully. But otherwise, as you can see, the side skirt's all installed. So the last step that we're going to do to installing these side skirt extensions is to place 2 self-tapping screws in the front and in the back fender well area of the extension itself. Is this something that we need to do, that's required? No, absolutely not. But it's a little extra security, and we feel that we take these cars, we drive these cars. Yes, they are our personal cars that we display, but we also put a lot of miles on them. So that little extra security of if the double-side tape does happen to let go at any time, you have those couple of screws to hold it in, so when you get to your destination, your side skirt's still on the side of the car. So we're going to go ahead and do that now, and we'll come back with the car lifted up on the rack in the shop, ready to install. Now that we have our 453 on the lift, we're going to show you where we've chosen to secure the side skirt extension on the bottom side towards the back in the wheel arch. If you look up right here, we've used one Phillips head self-tapping bolt to screw right in the bottom of the car. It's nice, it's out of the way, you're not going to see it, it's going to secure it, and now we're going to move on to the front. We're going to show you where we secured it up there. Alright, so now that we're positioned in the front of the car, you're going to see we chose to put a couple of self-tapping screws in the front of the fender liner here, the plastic fender liner. We drilled a couple of holes, and then we just put these Phillips head fasteners just like we did in the back. A couple things to note. It's not necessary to put this on a lift to do this installation. The reason we have it up here, it's just easier for myself to demonstrate. It gives us a good angle with the camera as well. We do this routinely on jack stands with the side of the car. And we're going to go ahead and paint these white because you are going to see them. So those last finishing touches, those make all the difference in the world. Since we see these, we're going to go ahead and get some white touch-up paint, and then we're going to throw this off the lift, and we're going to be ready to drive.